thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Obviously, you announced that you're going to be going to the FNCS.
Oh my gosh, guys.
And I
finally, bro, it actually loaded.
First, I want to talk about your competitive
Took
success
long enough.
so far. You've teamed up
My
with Rich Homie
gosh.
Quinn and Leo, and I
It
kind of
took
want to know
way too
how
long.
that exactly
Okay, I didn't even
started.
notice anybody was actually
so
in
me
my
and,
chat.
Quinn go way back. We used to duo and used to do trios and squads, and I know he was looking for a different vibe this season, and I was kind of looking to amp up my competitiveness, if you will. I've always kind of dabbled a little bit, but I wanted to give it another go.
Is there a trio that you think is going to be walking away in first place?
For Central, you know, Clicks going fourth, and
Yo, we got typical gamer
I
Glaze.
think there's a chance he could take
Let's
it home.
go.
I think if you want a real safe
Well, we
answer,
got
it's got to be
Clicks
Peter Bot.
Glaze.
But, you know, Poyo
Alright.
also won last time, and he could bring it back again. I think those
Bro,
are probably the top 3 contenders.
Nobody
in my head
wants
there.
Peter Bot to
I
win.
love it.
Peter Bot's
well,
a
I do
brat.
like to talk a
Let's
little
be
bit more
real.
about your creator side of things. Obviously, you just reached 1 million favorites on Fortnite, which I don't think you're the first person to do it, right?
Okay. If there's
Yeah,
any
first
Peter Bot
person,
fans
and
in here, I'm
nobody has
sorry.
hit it yet. Still,
Um,
so very proud moment. Big shout out to my teammate Jogo, and you know, we just want to keep releasing the maps that people have a lot of fun with. It's all about fun.
Is there anything in the works right now that you can maybe tease a little bit?
It's been months and months in the making of it, and I think people really enjoy the world building that we're doing and the mechanics of it. So stay tuned. We also have something potentially I might be announcing at FNCS Pro-Am, so we'll see.
FNCS Pro-Am, we haven't had something like this in quite a while. What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, I was just so excited when they brought up the opportunity, and just remembering I was at the other Pro-Ams and the fun I had there and the LAN events. I'm glad that all that stuff is finally coming back. It's really a breath of fresh air, and I'm excited not only to attend but to win. So
Obviously, good luck to you as well in NA West. Typical gamer, everyone knows who you are, but just in case there's someone out there that's just watching you for the first time, where can people find you?
yeah, you can find me youtube.com/typicalgamer. Got TG Plays. I'm on Twitch and TikTok as well, and you know, I stream every day and I also upload. So
Thank you so much, Typical Gamer.
thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Welcome to the FNCS Pro-Am.
My squad coming through, yeah, they clear out the room. Talking about that you want some, but you don't want none. We come with the boom. Competition, they look like they bout it. Ooh, I can tell that it's about to get rowdy. We undefeated, still number one. Come home with a trophy, it's all that I know. We undefeated, still number one. So pass me the rock, let me show you why we number one.
What is going on, Fortnite fam? Welcome back to the FNCS. Today is day 2 of the Major 2 finals. So much to play for. 3 spots go to the Global Championships, prize money, and of course, the Blade of Champions, all on the line while I'm sitting behind this beautiful fountain. This way. There we go, Zeke. Good job. It's great to see all of you. Welcome back. Let's get our analysts in here. Vivid, Kelly, come on in. Day number 2. After 6 games, we'll now know which trios are moving on to the Global Championships. EU was phenomenal. It was a nail biter. It was crazy. And now it's NA's turn. I am beyond excited. After yesterday, I mean, I can't wait. I just can't wait.
I mean, what a story it's been. Honestly, all the way back to when Major 1 ended, so many teams breaking up, so many teams reforming, and then, of course, the start of the play-ins. We all thought that it was going to be Peterbot's trio, and they came out on top, breaking so many records. But then the group stages started to shake things up, Vivid. But really, if we're talking about shaking things up, Game 6 yesterday was really where things shook up for North America.
Yeah, that will definitely add some spice to day number 2 here. Definitely added a little bit of an extra zazz to those calls last night with the trios, right? Talking about what they're going to do coming into the 6 games today, what they got to prepare for. Listen, Fortnite fam, all we have to prepare for is 6 good games of Fortnite. We are in for some entertainment today, and I can't wait to kick things off.
We'll get to that first. Just a quick reminder, FNCS Pro Am May 10th. We hope to see you there. It's coming up faster than you think. Tickets are available. It's in LA. We'll be there. We hope that you are too. Okay, let's take a look at the standings. Let's kind of remind ourselves where we ended yesterday. At the top, Ritual, Cold, and Peterbot with 462 points. You know, Vivid, there was a moment yesterday where I thought, is it possible that Peterbot could end day 1 in 2nd place? Could Clicks come out on top? But as we remember from that last game yesterday, Peterbot decided, look, if we're going to end day 1, I want to be in first. I'm going to chase down Clicks, play spoiler to his game, and make sure that I am in first place.
Yeah, when I was watching it happen, I was like, yeah, that right there, top 5 play of all time. And speaking about top 5 plays of all time, how Peterbot's trio performed yesterday was also one worth noting. They were first in so many different categories that I had to go ahead and inform you guys of a couple of them. Damage dealt Peterbot, we're very used to saying this, right? 7,884, first amongst the lobby. Cold in eliminations and damage ratio was also first amongst the lobby. And a little bit of a caveat here. Ritual with Time Alive, and you guys might be like, oh, Vivid, what are you talking about? Time Alive. 149 total minutes. And the reason why I want to go ahead and bring this up, right? All that Major 1 flak Ritual was selling, doing this, doing that. Ritual was actually the player on this trio alive the longest over the course of those 6 games yesterday. He was the one staying alive, clutching up, making sure that this trio got points.
And that is exactly what we wanted to see from him, and we all knew it to be possible. I mean, going all the way back to the EWC where he won the MVP, just so many eyes were on Ritual, and that's definitely part of the reason why once Peterbot and Poyo split up, he wanted to pick up Cold and Ritual, creating the ultimate trio. And we finally see them kind of returning to form like what we see during the start of the seasons. Of course, it did take just a little bit longer than we were kind of expecting for day 1, but to end it off in first place, if you look at this trio, or actually I should say Peterbot specifically, they tend to do better in day 2 games. They've kind of downloaded the lobby, they've established the control of high ground, and now that we see them in first place, I mean, in major number 1, they were 90 points below Acorn and his trio, and then they were able to make it just a 10-point difference by day 2. Now they're ahead of 50 points. We can only imagine just how much farther that lead can be if everything goes their way.
Well, let's hope someone can stop them. Kelly, let's hope someone decides, you know what, Peterbot, maybe all the whole lobby, all 32 other trios, just gonna run at you and see how you like it. Let's talk about the duo or the trio rather in second place, Clix, Higgs, and Iamzo. So again, they were kind of leading the pack for most of yesterday, but then in game number 6, as we mentioned, Peterbot decided that's enough clicks. I want to end the day in first place. So what I'm excited to see is kind of like the adjustments they've made coming into today, because we have 6 fresh games, right? Fresh mentalities. It's a brand new day. Anything can happen.
I don't think they have to make any adjustments, Zeke. I just think that they have to be a little bit more aware of Peterbot's, willingness to kind of come over there and contest them over there. But I'm happy that you kind of mentioned how well they actually played yesterday, because that game 6, right? We take a look at the leaderboard after game 6, and we're like, wow, yeah, they're 50, they're 50 some points behind. That's, wow, that's a big lead. Let's actually take a look at some of the stats for Clix's trio. Just looking at games 1 through 5, right? Leaderboard placement, they were in first. Their average placement in those first 5 games, 3.8. They were the trio yesterday to walk away with the most victory royales, the only trio to pick up 2. And then they, of course, with their 14 elimination game, actually had the highest point game out of any of the trios yesterday as well. So they played phenomenally. Again, I don't think they have to change anything. I think they did a good job of adapting after games 1 and 2. They got like 8th, 7th place. After that, it was just first, second, first. They played so well. The adaptations that they made on their low ground play worked out perfectly.
And both of those games they did, one was from the low ground, and here you can see just how dominant they are, staying box to box, hip to hip, as they rotate through those lower layers as the game goes on. They handle the aggression, the chaos so well because they're so synergized, and I really feel like part of the reason is because they stuck together between majors 1 and 2, building up that rapport, building up that understanding with each other, so that when you do go down to a duo, when you do go down into a potentially shambles situation, you have the confidence, you have the comms, and you're able to convert that into a positive experience. And again, game number 6 was very tricky. Peterbot, who usually carries the medallion, they gave it to Ritual, so it looked like Peterbot was sticking to where he normally was, and then that's why Peterbot was able to sneak up on Higgs. I don't think we're going to be seeing that again today, maybe.
We hope not, because, Clix would like his first ever NCS win, and I think that no one else on this cast is biased. No one. So it's fine. Let's talk about the trios in 3rd and 4th place who are actually tied at 363 points. Let's start with 3rd place, Visual Braids and Aminished. They put on such a fantastic showing yesterday, and to think they only had one game that they placed outside of the top 10. Let's just run more of that back, right?
Incredible stuff. I mean, if we were to end the competition just after day 1, this trio would actually be qualified to global. So they are definitely sitting in a pretty good spot right now. And honestly, I feel like this is one of the trios that kind of snuck up there, right? We had such a good showing yesterday of our top 2 teams kind of going head to head. But even myself, I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Visuals, Braids, and Minutes, they've snuck into 3rd place right now. I got to go ahead and mention it, right? Day 1 was crazy with the zones. A little bit of a caveat for this trio, right? They're landing right in the middle of the map, Foxy Floodgate. And, listen, there's no room to ever complain about the zones, because you always got an equal run to any of the zones that kind of happen when you're landing in the center like this trio is.
Yeah, they've been around for a while and really coming onto everyone's radar in Major 1 when they got 11th place. And then, of course, they also had a pretty good performance in the group stages. Another team that had a pretty good performance yesterday. Of course, it's one of my favorites. Coop and Curly had some great aggression early on yesterday, Vivid. But for me, it was not only that they took high ground in game number 4, but their ability to let go of it and then still convert it into a pretty successful in-game.
I'm going to piggyback off of Zeke a little bit here, right? Like he was talking about Visuals, Braids, and Minutes. He was like, oh, well, that trio, they only placed outside of the top 10 once. Reed, Cooper, and Curly, they didn't place outside of the top 10 at all. A very, very consistent trio. Yeah, I love the fact that this trio also, kind of forming at the last seconds, everything like that. Cooper kind of finding himself back towards the top of the leaderboard, of course, being an ex-global champion himself. It's great to see this trio doing well.
Yeah, and I mean, just performing so well. I'm excited to see how they're going to be doing in game number 2, or in day number 2, I should be saying. But a lot of it comes down, of course, to those zones. Are they going to be pulling in their favor? But honestly, I think if we get some south zones, they'll still be doing well.
Let's hope. Let's hope that the zone gods have blessed us today. No more north zone. Let's just take a break. Just a little break. You know, let's hope. Let's take a break ourselves right now and go hang out with your casters. It's Jacob PR. It's Monster D-Face.
Thank you, Zeke. And yeah, one thing I wanted to mention, Jacob, let's not fool the audience here. The standings are very close. 50 points is nothing. We've seen 100+ point games earned yesterday, without a doubt. So, you know, when you really start to look at the standings, even Peterbot's team in first place right now, not completely safe.
Yeah, it's not completely safe at all. It just takes 1-2 bad games today out of the 6 for day number 2 to really fall into that hole. But on the other side, Monster, kind of what you're talking about, it just takes a couple of good, consistent games. Just sprinkle a little bit of eliminations on top, and now we're cooking.
Yeah, that's one thing I want to think about is how global championship is also on the line. That's one of the more prestigious, of course, things these teams are going to be fighting for. So when you're looking at who's in the running right now, as we start developing this story, do keep that in mind. Anything can happen, Zeke.
I'm nervous, Monster. You know, we still have Pollo, who's looming. If he were to suddenly jump up into that top 3, then we're looking as low as a top 5 finish. That would be enough to qualify a trio through to the global championship. Anything can happen, and we have 6 games to figure out how it all goes. Now, yesterday we kind of wanted to discuss high ground versus low ground, right, Kelly? Where these trios are winning from. You actually have pulled some stats, some numbers for us. You know how much we love this stat, so break it down for us.
Well, yeah, let's take a quick look for games 1 through 6 yesterday, where exactly our winning team was coming from. And as you can see, 4 out of the 6 games come from high ground. And Zeke, quick question, games 3 and 5, a team won from low ground. Which team was it?
Oh, no, I don't know.
Good answer. It was clicks, everyone. But for games 1 and 2, we have the high ground wins from all the way from Zone 8. And Vivid, something that we've always talked about is how rare it is really to win from Zone 8.
Yeah, I mean, crazy stuff. That's something that me and Kelly used to talk about all the time. Like, oh gosh, they're going up for higher ground zone 8. They're not going to be able to hold it. But no, a couple of teams were actually able to pull it off yesterday. And I mean, Kelly, who else but Booga?
Of course, it's Booga, and something that actually occurred in all 6 games was the team to first go for height in 8th zone was done in the exact same way. So when zone 8 pops, all these trios are kind of around the edge, but whoever is closest to that zone that moves immediately establishes a tower to establish height for the rest of the game. So here we have it, zone 8 pops, Rapid, Booga, and Threats immediately build a tower up and then they ramp. But the reason that they were able to control high ground for all 4 zones is what you can see right here. Rapid all the way in the back, paying attention to anyone that is trying to potentially steal height away, like Acorn that you can see there. And Booga establishing these connections throughout high ground so that no one is able to chop them. And from there, between their positioning and just kind of how relaxed and passive this high ground control was, they were able to go all the way from zone 8 to zone 12 and win the game.
Yeah, I mean, it was an incredible gameplay for them. I'm not gonna lie though, right? This being game 1, I was like, oh man, like this is how high ground's gonna play out for all 12 of these games. Nobody's gonna kind of look up, but I think that changed pretty quickly, Kelly.
Yeah, game number 2, a similar story happened. Peterbot's team gets the favorable pull in zone 8. They establish a tower. However, a little different than Booga's game is that we actually had someone try to contest height. And usually a height steal, you know, can be coming from people being chopped or going on the aggressive. I rarely see a trio just ego another team for height. But if you're egoing the ego master of Peterbot, you are going to lose every single time. Peterbot was able to push Braid's trio away, and actually Peterbot just kind of switched on right there, goes on the aggressive, stays in Storm to get eliminations, and actually goes down. But when it's this trio right here, Ritual and Cold from zone 10, able to hold height as a duo all the way until the end.
Yeah, I mean, that was an incredible clutch win from that duo in the end there. And I mean, talk about clutches. That trio was clutching all day yesterday.
That's what I want to see more of, right, Vivid? I want to see more clutches today. Again, Blade of Champions, 3 spots to globals, prize money. Even just going up a single placement is enough to earn life-changing amounts of money. With 30 seconds left to go before we jump in, how are you guys feeling? Where are your vibes at right now?
I'm feeling great. I'm excited. There was some drama going on in social media between Clicks and Peterbot, and I am here for it. I want more.
hyping the competition up even more. I'm here for a day 2 awesome ending between those top 2 teams, but I also want to see Acorn Trio make a resurgence. I feel like we're going to be seeing them more on the higher ground. I don't know, it's just like a vivid prediction. No real reason.
Okay. I'm here for obviously some Fortnite, some memes, and leaving Kelly hanging like she left me hanging yesterday. So next time, don't put me on the spot, Kelly. Bing bang bosh. I know who won those games, but I got to be Zeke about it. Okay, anyway, it's that time. We got to find our seats on the battle bus. How will game 7 kick off? Will it be a bang? Will it be anticlimactic? Will Peterbot push someone else? Let's find out together. Casters, take it away.
Gotta love Zeke's energy. You can see he's drinking from the gold fountain behind us. He's having a great time on the front desk, of course. Jacob, 4th through 1st place, had near perfect games yesterday. Are we gonna see it happen once again?
I think it's almost gonna be impossible to think anybody today, with how grueling, how destructive yesterday was, to think they are going to play perfect. Because even our top 2 teams had a couple of speed bumps in their road, and those point gaps, you're talking about 50 points out of the top 4, another 50 points from the top 7, another 50 points to the top 11. It's gonna take you as a trio to have a phenomenal performance today, and at the same time, you might hope for a couple of mistakes happening on your opponents.
Well, it sounds like the battle bus is ready. Let's go ahead and jump on for game number 7.
This is it, Monster, the first game of day 2, and this is where I would like to say the tournament almost really begins. We know there's a 40+ point gap between 1st and 2nd, but a 65 points for a victory route, 4 points per elimination. All you need to do is keep things close and find a way to get elimination, because that's what's really separating the top 2 and the rest of the pack.
And it's a 2-day format, no multiplier like there once was in the past. Who has hit the drawing board? Who's going to come in with those fresh strategies, that new mentality, and really step up today to solidify essentially your placement to the global championship? I would say that is what is truly on the line here. Put the money aside, right? Money can be earned any day of the week, but this global championship spot is so prestigious. And more importantly, will you be the champion of Major 2? Well, Game 7's here. It looks like Bryce, G Monster, and Osid are continuing the action from yesterday once again here at the drop spot as we start to highlight who's changing what. Seems like this team is sticking to the old trusty.
Yeah, I think, you know, with the way Surge has been playing and controlling a lot of the lobbies, they kind of started off game number 1 yesterday at a contested fight, back and forth, 1-1. Game 3 happened. That's when they started to disengage. But as you know, you need Storm Surge. You need damage. So they're probably changing their game plan just a little bit. Confidence in themselves after being able to VOD review after day number 1 was over. And now they're coming out with a huge vengeance and getting some early Surge right out of the gates. But another contested fight. Kappa Factory, Dash, Seek, and Veer are going to go ahead and try to contest this. On the other side, Silic, Jargu, and King. And Silic, Jargu, and King, that was a team that we watched through the group stages qualify through consistently dominating those games, making end games time and time again, and then picking up a good number of eliminations to secure that spot.
I love how all the things Seek could have did yesterday to prepare for today, one of the few was change his name to Barbecue Chicken. This will never ever pass me by. I don't get it. But here they are, contested at the Kappa Factory. And think about it. Before they even touched down, a team was already eliminated. It really shows you the influence of the battle bus and how quickly the landscape is starting to take form here. Jumping on over to the other side, we get the Peterbot Ritual cold update, and it seems like they're continuing the action here, really making sure that the team in first place is going to be hearing them here shortly. But first, it's action at the Crime City right now. We all know this is one of the better drop spots, of course. Peterbot has seemed to continue to fight for the best for years now, and rightfully so. He's earned it.
Yeah, one of the better mechanically skilled players in 1v1s, and that was something that we noticed yesterday. Even though he made that sneak play in the decision, he did it all by himself. Even when Clicks and Yamza were able to kind of converge over and try to get the help to Higgs, instead of taking a 3v1 or a 3v2, they chose to try to disengage. They didn't have the full setup that they wanted, which trying to cause them to lose the fight and play the rest of that game out on the back foot. But no real changes this time around, sticking to their strategy, building multiple surge bases outside of Lone Wolf Lair. I just think this time around Higgs is going to have his eyes peeled for that porta potty, so no sneaky plays can happen.
Nothing just yet. But you know what? I think that game 6 yesterday was actually a wake-up call for this team, right? Not to let their guard down, and they're going to remain on high alert now moving forwards. And they really have to, right? Kind of just shows them that, hey, that quickly, your entire tournament can be flipped upside down.
It almost makes you wonder, because one of the things a lot of players notice, if you have that signature outfit on, whether if it's with a black bling or not, the pickaxe, that's one thing I want to see. Maybe you have to switch it up every single game so nobody can kind of target and download which outfit you actually are. You can have a little bit more escape plans going at it, if that's the case, especially with third parties starting to come in. As we jump on board Fuse, Maniac, and the Tick. Just outside of Magic losses already. There's a lot of teams now, I feel like, thinking this is where we need to position early due to at least 5 zones yesterday going to the north side.
Definitely, those zones playing a huge factor. No one in the community is letting it down, as we've seen all the theories start to float about. But, you know, the truth is, I did come across that one post where folks ran the simulations. It's so unlikely for you to see those same types of zones pull to the similar areas. So today, it's a new day. We're coming in with a fresh look. So a quick little update there for Peterbot's elimination. Those are going to be some important damage tags, as we all know. Usually the first game of the day is going to be the slowest one, the most surge heavy, right? The one where teams are being the arguably the most passive.
For the most part, 90 players still left alive, 31 teams, even with a couple eliminations going down in the moment, you see it going right back up to 90. Reboots are going off, and that's what I would expect. Even with Peterbot taking down a Minish there not too long ago, you expect him with the uncontested drop of Foxy Floodgates to get back into the game, and that's kind of the nature of it all. Slow and steady at the start, try to minimize the amount of mistakes, and you just gotta hope for a team like that going down, being forced to reboot, having to reaccumulate some of that surge doesn't turn to bite him at the end of the day. As we jump on board Reek, Cooper, Curly taking full control over Flooded Frogs, trying to spread out. But this time around, it does look like the zone is already moving a little bit to the east outside of their POI.
Yeah, not a bad start for them so far. They're sticking to the game plan here. But Reek, Curly, and Cooper, really one of the surprise performers coming up out of nowhere, really showcasing the preparation and the team cohesion that's come together for this trio here. Look at Reek getting active right now, but leaves a wall open and almost gets sent right back to the lobby. At reaction time now to go ahead and buy himself some time. Still trying to see now where those shots come from. Can he fish them out? Cyrus, who's kind of lurking about. Here's what it's looking like from Muzz's perspective. Yamzo and Higgs got sight lines onto him as well.
Yeah, a lot of extra loot they can kind of relay outside of Shiny Shafts. You kind of see the mountain that they already built their surge base on top of. So they got natural elevation plus their built elevation. They get a wide view of the land, which is going to be needed now, not only for the surge that they were trying to accumulate monster, but now you see the zone pulling further and further away towards the eastern side. So at least they're going to be able to get a lay of the land, the information of where teams are currently at, boxed up and possibly rotating too. So that way they can try to have a smoother rotation and not running to too many players early on.
Keeping out boxing people up. Let's see what's going to happen here. King's making the push in to catch one off guard. However, no big openers just yet. I like how they defensively get together. Gold splashes come down. They have the advantage now. Let's see how King's trio ends up utilizing it. From Seek's perspective, trusting to keep the distance here. Both sides on gold splash effect. Scratch that.
Ooh, I like that decision right there. You see Seek making sure to destroy the scanner, trying to give less and less information. That would have been a good tool in their arsenal and being able to know where they're at. Dash being forced down to the low ground. But this is a chance right now. You see him sneaking around, landing some shots on the King, making sure that he knows there's no shields on that player. It could be a chance to go if you guys got the opportunity. But he backtracked into Silic, who's trying to hold defensive position and maybe even inside of the cone to sneak up onto Veer if he doesn't expect him. And now he has a chance, and he boxes up Chicken. Back-to-back shots coming out from Silic. Seek goes down. Now he leaves his trio in a 3v2 situation as the elimination fully gets cleaned up.
I got to give a lot of respect to that one. I was going to make the call a little early. They clearly have the disadvantage with the overall loop, but when you are the man up now, talk about a game changer here. However, Dash not looking to let it up just yet. He's going to trade one off as well. 2v2 fight going on here. Both sides, all sides hurt. Jargu's only the healthiest one here in the battle. However, loses, unfortunately, his positioning there, his footing for a second. Now they're forced to low ground. Gonna be able to pick up their teammate. Seek, though, completely finished off.
Uh-oh. Neither one of them really able to farm up because these are the teams contesting each other. Now Jargu's almost out of build. Some get past at the last second, and they're able to run past, take out dash, keep it in their favor, and Veer falls as well. And that's a full wipe right there. That was one that I thought was going to go the other way, but you got to give Silic the credit for getting that opened up elimination.
Yeah, that's one of those situations where you look back, you say, man, we shouldn't have won that fight. They had a disadvantage. They got snuck up on. They were pushed out of the Kappa Kappa, and all of a sudden, Silic with the one big play turns the entire momentum right back around. Well, look, now they have all the time in the world to go ahead and work to refarm their way back into this game. Let's see what they can do. That huge performance. Taki, Vert, and Esho, though. Seen a lot of this team here. Continuing the fight at the Magic Mosses. It's up against Noah Plays Trio.
Right now, it seems like if you look at the bubble for global spots, almost 100 or so points down. Noah Plays is already down as well. Taki, he's trying to get distracted down below. Isho uses that to his advantage, able to jump onto Chaos Gaming, get another elimination. Now Kaz is left by himself, but at least for now, Monster, there's a little bit of distance between him and those two opponents still looking around to figure out where he's at.
Yeah, they don't know exactly where he is just yet, and there's another trio moving in extremely quickly. Could that be Peterbot's team? Could that be... Oh, okay, it's Reet, Curly on the way alongside Cooper there. Taki and Eshu now looking to kind of double back, pair up with one another. Shots come in. Trio wasting no time, letting their presence be known.
Uh-oh. Fourth team now enters into the mix, probably an additional team coming from Whiffy. And we see it, Monster, it's just outside of Magic Mosses. So a lot of these teams that do land up here, instead of kind of cutting towards the side, beelining it to zone, they could go all the way towards the north. One tick zone damage isn't going to be much, and then they could try to get into where it isn't as congested, maybe above Demon's Dojo, maybe above Pump Power. Those are going to be some of the pivotal spots for any of these teams rotating early. And for Taki, Vert, and Isha, the longer you stay here in this position, you're closing off opportunities, you're closing off options, all for a singular elimination, which might not necessarily mean much. It's only 4 points.
It was Amplify and Shiny Cat there. Take a look at the replay here.
Oh, no.
Clicks. A little bit of fall damage, just giving you guys the full picture here. Off to a rocky Game 7 right now. Seems like they're just rolling up to the Flutter Frogs here shortly as well. So determined to play deep in the storm. There's also 3 trios in the vicinity here. They cut this one player off and in they go.
And only cut him off. They get a knock. So far away from the rest of his team, and this is a little bit of a different strat, Monster. Yes, the zone plays a huge role as it's going away from the north side overall, but now Click, Siamzo, and Higgs, if there's anything left over in that black market, they have an abundance of gold from their Lone Wolf POI they could finally use, and this is something they were not able to do yesterday because of where the zones were pulling. It would have been way too risky for them to go into the black market, possibly get stuck there, possibly get stuck overall. A lot of risk associated with that. And now they're going above and around, so that way they can go ahead and be behind every single one of these teams rotating in and give them the option to visit that black market, because they do have some extra splashes and men miss smoke, so they can stagger as long as they want.
It's a really good point. Take a look at the key, though. Clicks jumping right on into the mix of things here. Makes you wonder, why was this team sitting around this long? This hurt. They saw that there was a trio nearby. Didn't even take the time to cap off, but neither here nor there. It's going to bring Clix' trio up to 3 eliminations. These elims extremely important in allowing them to start closing that point gap for elim so early in the game is a massive come up. Remember, each elimination is worth 4 points.
It was about 41 points. Peterbot Cole, the Ritual, did have a lead. Those 4 eliminations, just like you said, is doing a good job of cutting down that lead before placement points even begin to set in. 27 teams still left alive, 77 players. Zone hovered over pump power, and that's where you saw a lot of those Western North teams begin to rotate into. So if it continues in this trend, it could end up being one of the stacked parts of the zone. Even more so stacked if it continues to pull towards the north. So I think a lot of these teams are hoping just a little bit for South Pole. Oh no.
Bucky getting active right now on our third place.
It's big.
Visuals, a Minish Braids here. Visuals already taken down right now. Okus traded off as well, but the chomp comes through. See the kneecapper come out to go and make sure he mitigates any potential damage there, and Bucky gives up the high ground right now. Opting to go ultimate low. Cam's got another side angle here, but the pressure is on right now for this trio.
Yeah, even though Okus is down, with that elimination, it's only going to be Braids and Cam still left alive on the other side, so a 2v2. They just got to be very, very careful. And I think that's why. A Minish, Braids, Visuals, they land over towards Foxy. Floodgates, they can disengage out of this position, run towards the back. It's relatively early in the game, so not too chaotic of Storm damage is going to go off. Plus, you see some extra heals there. But Braids is hiding towards the top. So you got to wonder if you're Bucky and Cam, do you think they disengaged all together as he's able to land some free damage onto Cam? You got to hope he has HP now because he could go down in the zone.
Oh yeah, the med mist starts to come out. They're actually forced now to kind of double up here, and this is going to buy time for the reboot where they can't even look up to go ahead and target him. So honestly, a very successful reboot and just a small play that's going to make the difference here at the Floodgates, allowing Visuals to get right back to his loot pile here. And it's little things like that that all of a sudden help you kind of bounce back into the game. And just think about this. Braids, Diminish, and Visuals didn't finish less than 11th place yesterday. The difference maker between them and the teams up in first and second was the fact that the eliminations that Peterbot's trio, Clix's trio, were able to accumulate far outweighed the placement points overall. So
That's well
pushing
said.
right now. What?
Ooh, Minish is feeling a little confident right now. He takes a big shot, but Cam is now
Look at Cam.
running his way in. He's smoothly
My
running through
gosh.
those builds like a hot knife through butter. That's a good amount of confidence as well. And Minish forced to use the splashes. There goes the HP. 91 damage above the threshold. You can see with a Minish getting knocked down early, taken down by Peterbot. Another elimination on the Visuals. They need the surge.
Yeah,
And
Braids
they
is
need
here
it
too.
bad.
Braids coming from the other angle right now, and they slam Cam here right in the mix, and then they get the down body as well. So a perfect amount of damage swinging in their favor here. Bucky just left wondering what went wrong. How did his teammate get left behind right there, caught out of position?
Yeah, and this is just
Oh,
turning
he's
into a
below.
nightmare. Yeah, he's below. He can't go back into the zone and reboot his teammates. Otherwise, he's going to fall further and further below. Good luck to Bucky as we jump on board Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual all the way to Seaport from Crime City. Making these quick rotations outside of the zone. 500 plus damage above the threshold. I feel bad for Polus and his trio. Not the most experienced. Make it into a grand finals. And then in game one to start day two, you're running into Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual.
Yeah, but they hold their own, pushing off Cold and Ritual here for a moment's time. And it makes you wonder if Peterbot plays any better. If we see that game 6 Peterbot come out yesterday with how good Ritual and Cold were performing all throughout the 6 games, they could really find a breakaway moment. But so far, this completely eastern pool here for the zone is still going to end up veering slightly towards the north. But again, a little different than the games that we saw yesterday for the most part.
Yeah, and they're just using this to their advantage, not even going towards the zone or where it was. They're just beelining straight towards the zone. They know not too many players are going to be on top of that mountain on the outside. If they have enough heals, maybe even get eliminations to utilize that Siphon, this could be the play that wins them or puts them in the best position here for game number 1. Couple knocks going down. Bucky actually going down to the Storm overall. Storm Surge and him being a solo just didn't work out for him as a Minish still down, stuck between 2 different teams. One of them being Cold and Peterbot, who are quickly moving on over.
Yeah, after that knock right there, look at how quickly they're trying to come in for the refresh here potentially. And if you're Visuals, Diminish, and Braids, you got to put up a front right now. You got to put up a defensive hold here. Not only for the damage, but because you got Peterbot's trio inching up on your positioning right now for this prime real estate here. Oh, look, Braids takes off. They're going towards the mountain.
It's a bit of a risky play. You see there's just chunks, big chunks of HP missing. They don't have any resources to kind of make that up, and they're just pushing straight in. This might be a blessing though. Joshi's already down. Aoxy's there. If they get the elimination onto one, even if it's not the points, they're still able to get the loot that they need. Damage for Storm Surge, 51 above, feeling a little bit more comfortable, and that's an understatement because Minish just goes in and bulldozes that trio back to the lobby.
I'm trying to figure out, like, how did they know? Like, they catch a Minish with extremely again, low HP out in the open, but he keys up the mountain and found an even weaker team. They must have been taking a small fight there just before that, before Peterbot kind of put his 2 cents into the mix here. But either way, phenomenal play to keep them in the game right there. Meanwhile, complete other side of the zone here. Click6 and the Obso got to be happy that they're rotating kind of the dead side northern area here, because they're on the opposite side of Peterbot, right? Just staying away from the juggernauts that toppled them over, right? Kind of threw off their entire mid game yesterday in game number 6.
You see, they were the only team, though, to get 2 victory royales yesterday. And honestly, I like this positioning on the zone. If it pulls anywhere but south, they are in one of the best spots in the zone so far, getting ready for these next moving zones. But if it does pull south, not just them, but everybody else on this side of the zone is going to have some trouble trying to make it up over that mountain on the other side. You see so many teams already positioned with that elevation, looking down at the side, not just the Yamzo, but he does land a shot on the Creon, who seems like he might be by himself. I don't see his teammates anywhere. That might be one of the few solos left in this lobby.
I wouldn't put it past the Yamzo's team to get this refresh right here, given how weak that team below them is. Daco, Muzz, and Rise. You talk about the double VRs yesterday. You have to put this team in the conversation. They were the squad fighting for first and second in those back-to-back games. Just incredible performance, particularly from Japco. But hold up. Back to Minish, Braids, and Visuals. That elimination, not enough, but it buys them a little bit of time. Now, they have to fight for damage here. Only 2 minis here. We knew that they didn't have much to work with before. Visuals kind of caught out of position there. Unfortunately, taking way too much damage here. And the water sprite picked up, and then the elimination on the tail end. They are really fighting for their placement right now on the standings, but no, the lobby starts to focus in. Even with the big 5 eliminations, they can't catch a break.
Yeah, slow to rotate. Max pull all the way towards the western side of this mountain. Everything's stacked against them now because they don't have any material either. At least the Minish does not. No extra shields. And there's a team waiting right next to him, and you really just at their mercy. It doesn't even know about the full trio right behind him. So as soon as he begins this rotation, if he doesn't watch out, that could be his demise. But he's trying to land some shots because he knows Monster, even though Storm Surge did deactivate, he knows once it turns on yet again, they are going to be below that threshold. They are going to be a duo, and they're going to have to figure it out quick.
Oh, I was just about to say, no way. Braze sets up the target fire with Acorn Trio from up top. Nearly had a full elimination set up for him, but opts to go ahead and heal a little bit more passively instead here. Very limited material. Notice that Braids had to split his mats with Visuals here. Sorry, with the Minish, just to keep them in the game right now. And they are desperately holding on. But look, we're already at a 13 trios remaining in the lobby. Just ahead of Braids here. You have Peterbot's trio on high ground. Acorn, Boyo, and Agers trying to make a comeback. Kanata showing life in this last game as well here to kind of kick things off. Meanwhile, Click the Zone Higgs on a low ground rotate. 7 Elans already for the trio. Make it 8 as they catch Yusuf on the rotate here.
It's a big pickup for them because they even just now found that medallion. Something that we do see Yamza, Clicks, and Higgs go for time and time again. But now they get another foreign pull with the rest of the lobby. And there's nobody down there but that one team in front of them. Everybody else stacked at the side of the mountain and even the south part of the zone overall. And Cold Ritual, Peterbot using that to their advantage with everybody trying to rotate too early, forced to box up because of damage. They're using that as an opportunity to smoothly move through the zone as Peterbot lands a good shot onto a full trio up above. And now they're the ones getting focused.
If Peterbot sets that up for G-Monster to jump in and actually take down Japco. So that's going to be a difference maker for Muzz's trio, but Muzz fighting back up top, and then Peterbot's team turns around, catches a whiff of the chaos, and finishes up the job here. Look at the upgrades coming through for the loadout now, but still very little heals here on Peterbot's team. Cole taken out, Ritual taken out by a Minish's trio from down low, and Agers from up top. They sandwich down the fire here and clean them up, but it's all up to Peterbot. Peterbot claps back onto a Minish shot from behind. Back to the lobby now by Shadow's team, and a glimmer of hope breaks open in the sky here. The sun is shining through for Higgs, Clix, and Yamzo, who now have a chance to earn more placement points and close the gap.
Yeah, there's at least 30+ points left into the top 8 if they can secure that victory royale. They have 8 eliminations as well. This is a recipe for success, especially since they're now taking the front side of the zone. There is nobody down there even next to them as it leads towards the house, but up above, Agers, Poyo, Acorn feeling just as safe, if not safer, up in the clouds. There's only one team close to them, and they're immediately going to drop down low to a different layer.
So impressive. We're watching two sides of a coin here. Clixiamzo Higgs opting to play ultimate low this entire end game, and then you see the opposite teams trying to stay to the mid, stay to the high ground, trusting that the zone was going to bounce back up. However, it doesn't matter. All they've done is allowed them to put the pressure on. Braids is holding on a top 5 for him. Well done, son, but look at what's happening here. Finally now, pressure starting to come in. Clix is going to be the first to fall. They box him up, try to go for the save. It's Bluga's trio on the other side of the wall. Kanata's there as well, and they are starting to cook it up.
Yeah, that's because of their game plan. They got so much space in the front side of zone. They just immediately grabbed the body, tossed it to the front, got the revive. Now they have a chance to look behind. This is something I feel like Kelly and Vivid talked about, that they did not do enough on day one, looking to the backside of the zone, trying to get those eliminations. They already reached double digits in this game and a final 4 spot, but everybody alive is going to be full trio. Some might be stronger than other, and that's where they're trying to battle from the low ground. Yamzo quick to take a big shot with the shields. He has to figure out a way to stagger back, get the HP up. The medallion proven to be useful in this situation, but only for so long. Yamzo goes down. Clix tries to make a miracle play, but the full trio goes out.
They tried to kneecap him out to the lobby, but it wasn't good enough. Not enough charge in the swing here. Meanwhile, Agers, Foyo, Acorn starting to bring the pressure from the high ground down. Just 4 eliminations, but this top 3 positioning here is what matters most. But will the veteran trio close this one out is the real question. Shadow's team starting to turn online here. Curve, Tyler staying at the front side of zone here. Foyo halfway through the maps here. There's that one wild card factor. Finally, they find him. It's Sphinx in the mix here now. Jacob, we're looking at a clean 3v3.
Yep, and already Agers going to drop down onto one side. Good damage on the curve. Poyo's going to clean that one up. Even with Agers going down, Poyo has his back. And the Major 1 champion starting in 7th place. They cook up a victory royale and rise to the top.
It's crazy because yesterday we called it Acorn. Typically that day 2 Acorn comes out and he doesn't look back. And hey man, starting things off with a game 7 victory royale's gotta feel nice for them to put them right back in the conversation. But let's watch it back from their side here. We got the best of Agers and Poyo coming out here, really kicking things off, and the way Agers was able to kind of initiate the fight and allow Poyo to just get active from the sidelines was so perfect. You got to give respect to the Young Bucks, Shadow and Curve and Tyler there coming through. So congrats, game 7's wraps there. Zeke, what do you have for us now?
You see what I'm saying? You see what I said at the start of the show? If Poyo came out and just won a game, we could be looking at a top 5 situation to qualify to globals. And Poyo said, you know what, Zeke, you want to win? You want us to win game 1, Zeke? We'll do that for you. I couldn't have written a better script. Poyo, Agers, Acorn, I just cannot believe, Kelly, they were able to walk away the game the way they did. They just had high ground and just no one cared. And like, that's not the situation you want to allow Poyo to be in.
Well, someone cared, Muzz cared, but then he got punished for it. So it's a little bit understanding when the rest of the lobby kind of understands what happens when you try and focus on height instead of Peterbot's trio on the low ground. But Acorn, Agers, and Poyo did an incredible job. And Zeke, I know you're trying to take credit for it, but Vivid around Zone 5 said, watch Acorn, Agers, and Poyo win this game from height.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually what I was calling towards the, earlier on before we even started this game. I was like, listen, that's what I want to see from this year. I think we're going to see them on the higher ground and make a little bit of a comeback. And instantly we can see them on the higher ground in game number 1 of day number 2. And this actually started yesterday, right? A lot of people would be like, oh, wow, they might have been cooking something up overnight. No, I think this trio actually started to cook this up in games 5, game 6 yesterday, right? They were teetering around with going for higher ground. They were trying it out. A couple games, they actually got it. And that's when I was like, you know what? I think day 2, we're going to be seeing a lot of higher ground from this trio, and we're going to see a big comeback from them. First game of the day, it has started.
I am liking what I'm seeing. 5 more games. Now, very quickly before we go to break, I just want to shout out Courage, JD, and the Courageous. I really hope that you have an amazing party, man. When we return after this short break, more action from the FNCS. So stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone, to the FNCS game number 1 of the day. 7 overall starts with a bang. Pollo decides we're going to go ahead and get ourselves a victory royale. The standings, as you know it, Zeke, will be shaken, just like you to your very core. And I am. Let's start talking about some of the things we saw from this last game, and eventually we get to the standings where there have definitely been some developments. We kind of talked about the fact that maybe at the end of the competition we could see maybe top 5 being enough to qualify through the globals. Well, with Pollo suddenly jumping into 4th place and tying Reed, Kelly, it's looking like that might be the case.
We have a tie for 4th and 5th place, and then it's only a 6-point difference between Ritual Cold and Peterbot versus Clicks, Higgs, and Iamzo. And that game 7 for Clicks, Higgs, and Iamzo was a bit of a question mark, as we like to see here. We saw Clicks go down a little early, had a little bit of a misstep, but then the recovery that they made, going for that team in Storm, getting that little bit of health back so that once they finally did rotate to the end game, they were able to control the low ground like what we know that they do. But we heard our casters call it out. Clicks, Iamzo, and Higgs not necessarily staying to the front of zone like what we've seen them do, playing just a little bit more back to go more for those eliminations. And we saw that kind of pan out. Look at the elims they're able to grab.
Yeah, I love the adjustment from the trail. I mean, they're just playing so good right now. As soon as Peterbot, Core, and Ritual misstep just a little bit right, go down a little bit early, they're right there. They're playing so consistent when they don't go down in the early game to go ahead and close that gap, which is why that 6-point difference is screaming right now, right here. Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual, you got to be feeling the pressure from that one. Clicks, Higgs, and Iamzo, like I said, we talked about it earlier. Zeke was like, maybe they got to change something. I was like, no, they don't got to change anything. Just got to be a little bit more aware in the first couple minutes of the game. And I promise they're going to start doing well. The chase is on.
Oh man, the chase is on. 5 more games of this. Let's also talk about Peterbot, right? I mean, again, 6 points really isn't anything, right? We could see either of these trios make a mistake, fall early, or Peterbot decide to run a Clicks again, and we could see him dethroned here on day number 2. But I liked from this game, like, yeah, they only placed 9th with 3 eliminations, but clearly this trio has such an impact on the lobby.
Yeah, it's less about what they offer themselves and more so what they take away from everyone else. And we saw Muzz's trio going to kind of tag high ground there, and Peterbot able to catch them out, grab a few eliminations there. But honestly, 3 eliminations, even going down this early, is a bit of a short stop for them. And it'll be interesting to see kind of how they respond to this. We know that anytime something kind of negative or aggressive towards Peterbot happens, he tends to reverse it on that person tenfold. So I believe it was Ager's trio that actually took down Peterbot. So let's see if he pulls a Vino and lands on them.
Yeah, the crazy thing for me right there is they usually do so good at getting to the end games in a pretty healthy position, right? But as we saw right there, when they went down 0 materials, it kind of worked with trying to sneak away with a little bit of a kneecap or rotate through the air. Way too good of aimers on the high ground to kind of allow that to happen. 9th place, 3 eliminations for the trio. That's actually their worst game yet in this final. So we'll have to kind of keep an eye on how they're doing. I'm a little mad looking at these standings, and I'm not going to lie, Zeke. Kanata, right, in the mix, in the end game right there. 3rd place, 4 eliminations. Doesn't move on the leaderboard. How in the heck is that? Right after yesterday's day, right? A little bit of a rough one. Finally, we see him in the mix. Doesn't move up at all. I mean, still holding on, still close to the rest of the competition, but I was like, they're going to jump up, and they just didn't.
Well,
man, it happens because Shadow, Curve, and Tyler decided to place, where they did this game, right? 2nd place. And
yeah, I
think it's interesting because, like, to some degree, you kind of want them to move up the standings, right? What you definitely don't want is them moving down. So I appreciate that Kanata at least kept them where they were. But of course, again, coming back to this trio, the fact that they won, we're starting to shake things up, Kelly. It's starting to get a little too close for comfort. I'm excited, but I'm also nervous.
Well, speaking of shaking things up, we've seen Shadow's trio shake things up. And again, another one of those dark horse trios that we've watched all the way back from Major 1. But for me, really what stood out about this trio was that incredible 20 elimination game we got from one of the more recent performance evaluations. Yeah. A majority of that coming from Shadow. So to see this kind of early aggression from this team, it may have taken a day for them to really lock in. But now I'm excited to see if we can get more of that ultra aggression that we saw from Shadow before.
Lock in, indeed. That was their best game. 2nd place, 9 eliminations. Cool to see that. Maybe they're going to throw their name in the mix right now. But 100 points separating 4th and 9th place. Anything can happen, Zeke. I'm a little nervous.
That's fine. We have 5 more games. Just think, if this was game 11, I would definitely be about to pass out. But we have 5 games. It's fine. Everyone calm down. I'll be nervous for us. Let's jump back into the action, though, with Monster DFA's Jacob PR. Take us back in the game.
No way, Zeke. There is no time to calm down. Game number 7 was absolutely fantastic, and I expect 5 more games. Monster's been back and forth at the top of that leaderboard.
You know what? When the Major 1 final champions are in the mix as well, getting points, this is great for the rest of the lobby. Let's not forget, the better they do, the more they accumulate, the more likely other teams have a chance for those global spots. What you don't want is for other teams to be earning those points, because then they are surely getting closer and closer to stealing away one of those prestigious positions. But yes, Vivid said it best. The standings are way too close right now for someone to have a top performing game and then not move. It's insane. So let's jump in for game number 8 now. The Major 2 Finals Game 8 is about to commence, and Jacob, I gotta say, it is starting to cook up to be an iconic Major Finals right now. And once again, we get to watch the dynamic play out. That last game, we got to give a hats off to the servers. We got a completely different end game, right? This is what we're hoping to see, some new dynamic coming into play. And it looks like, you know, for our Lone Wolf Layer team, Clicks and company, them being able to deploy those other strategies that didn't get to really test out yesterday seem to work in their favor.
Yeah, that rotating towards the north side, they were able to pick up more and more surge on the teams trying to rotate deep into the zone. But again, more switch-ups going down. Game 2, it does look like G-Money, Osid, and Bryce are going to be uncontested inside of the mountain. But you see in the mini-map, there's a full trio at the top of the mountain, so they're going to be splitting as much of this loot as possible. And this is something that we saw go down throughout the course of the day yesterday, and they're just trying to make sure that they don't risk their entire game on that off-spawn fight.
Yeah, off spawn, always the tricky one, especially when you're going 50-50. We saw a little bit of that yesterday from those teams as well, kind of opting to split it up. One thing was for certain, though, when G-Monster's team got away successfully in the early game without any contestation, they seem to have had really good games come out of it. So a lot of promising hope for a trio like that, but King Silic and Jargu have not let up just yet. They're looking to continue the pace here for the previous game, and King and Silic continue to do just that. But the whip shot, oh, for a second there, the little hiccup, I thought he missed the important tag, but nope, he ended up finishing off the full trio.
Yeah, this is about this team. Silic making the plays in game number 1 to kind of lead them to the rest of the game off spawn, and then now it's King's turn. I talked about the aggression. We both did. We saw it through group stages. It's finally great to see it here in back-to-back games for them. Over towards the bridge, though, a fight that we were watching yesterday. Another 50-50 for that floor loot. I think both teams kind of switching it up just a little bit. Once again, where you're at on the leaderboard means so much. Not just the first place FNCS championship, not just the global spots, but there's still a great amount of money to be won.
Yeah, and your history, right? Especially for these teams that are now starting to consistently make their way to finals. This is their legacy beginning to get developed here in real time. You know, and you got to give credits to Eulogy, Phenom, and Yusuf. I know last game was a little bit of a rough one for them, just given the circumstances, but they turned things into an 11th place game for them, really popping off. And not only that, that jumps them up to 16th place overall on the standings. So a top 10 could be in the conversation here, but they got to make it past the drop first. And Donnie, Craze, and Joji seems to have kind of taken control of the Shining Span this time around.
Yeah, they even got that elimination on Eulogy before he was able to get over that mountain. So they just got to figure out how to get that reboot card. As we turn on over to Crime City, business as usual for our first place team. Just unfortunate going down in 9th place, which left a good amount of placement points still on the board, and obviously elimination. So Clixiamzo Higgs able to close the gap to 6. But landing over towards the server room, getting the train, Peterbot immediately building up and looking over towards Foxy Floodgates. That's where you have Visual Braids and a Minish. Just a little bit of early game surge, and Peterbot just takes most of that damage, forced to kind of take a break here, breathe, reassess the situation.
Up on a full chug jug here, I don't blame him. Some prestigious heals getting utilized here. Visuals, you can see, looking to potentially play a cheeky little side angle right there. Higgs clicks Niamza though. Volt secured. Now time to head out, start looking for that damage. Higgs, no upgraded rifle. We'll see if he can kind of fish for something new here shortly. Clicks, Higgs, and Niamza have pulled off 7 pickups, most of any team so far in the game. Those revives being absolutely clutch. Most of which obviously was accumulated yesterday, we saw in those final games. But still, even now, Clicks got saved in the last round as well. So crucial for their strategy is keeping the entire team up.
Yeah, it's just in part the way they kind of play the low ground, getting the front side of the zone. at times even taking storm damage just to get deep into the zone with their builds before they backtrack. They found a lot of success in that game. If they can keep this momentum going, we can have this race all day long. But a new horse has entered the mix. Acorn, Pollo, Agers. They won that last game. They climbed up the leaderboard. They got a tying spot on the leaderboard, and they're winning the tiebreaker due to that victory royale in that last game over Reet, Cooper, and Curly. And they're sticking to the strategies. They got access to Mass Meadows uncontested, the vault with an abundance of loot, and they immediately go on over towards that black market where Acorn's the one that kind of relays a lot of those extra heals on over.
Yeah, what's really nice is they're keeping up the pacing, the momentum that they kind of left themselves off with games 5 and 6 yesterday, really setting them up big time to be in the conversation and then to, of course, initiate the tournament day 2 with a win. It's going to be the perfect storm here for them right now. And you can arguably say, you know, it's about a 5-way tie between 3rd down to 8th, right? They're all just within a couple of means points away from each other. Really is overall a super close competition. But one thing I wanted to also highlight was this trio right here. Visuals, Braids, and Diminished. My gosh, have they been playing some excellent Fortnite. Really just a sleeper team. And this is one that's been around the block for a long time, right? This is not a trio that's just new by any means, but they seem to have this season figured out.
Yeah, whether you're, you know, doing the watch parties, Fortnite Comp Report, or Ozzy himself, this is always a team when I'm looking at their predictions, Monster. They're a dark horse. They're always in the conversation. Even when Visual and Braids were a duo landing at a split drop that they made themselves, they always command that respect. And with the early game that we saw, with a Minish going down, eliminated by Peterbot, we saw Visuals going down over towards Foxy Floodgates, forced to reboot. They were still able to pull off a 6th place with 6 eliminations, which gives them that 24-point lead over 4th place.
And last game, I mean, just play from a Minish. Incredible stuff to make that push and keep his tournament run alive, keep him in the game to even have a little piece of an end game there. It's definitely the difference maker. Ritual Cold and Peterbot, though, just kind of setting up here. You can see they've already done what they had to do over at the drop. Now they're looking to kind of disperse out. Meanwhile, Kanata Bolts back on the hunt here, continuing to take these Eastern fights, and most importantly, take them with no fear of sitting in the zone for a while. I mean, look at the head count here. They found Yusuf and then box him up. Oh no, got to be doing better than that. Yusuf somehow didn't even have his walls under control before this all kicked off, and then Bolt's getting right to it. Wonderful tags there. That's some big damage for them right now.
Yeah, even though they were able to get Eulogy back, they're not really able to do anything with it. And I like the way Bolts played it, even though they didn't need it, because as you said, they boxed him up. You saw how he went across the entire left side, let Sphinx and Kanata push directly towards his opponent. He was prepared just in case he was trying to disengage, run out. He would have ran into Bolts, but they were just too quick. Bolts didn't really get to do anything. Maybe the next fight, buddy, as he's looking towards the backside of zone, sees a full trio back there. And right now, it's essentially up to them how long they want to stay here at this spot on the map, how long they want to try to hold that team out, and how much surge they think is okay for them to rotate out.
Back on over to the Seaport City. Zone still kind of hovering around this general area, so a lot of time bought here. But you notice the markers are out. They're going to be looking to focus on the Eastern teams. Teams like Kanata, potentially, that are out there.
He blocks it off. Nope. No free damage for you over there, but they're still able to sneak some through. Thresh just looking at that armored vehicle, trying to rotate in towards zones. Definitely hard to land shots, but if that third player, your trio, is in the back and he falls out, you leave him behind, it's almost open season, so you got to be careful for that one as you're rotating through. As Muzz, Rise, Yapko, you can see they're already beginning that rotation out of shiny shafts, slowly but surely, since the zone is rather close. And you can kind of see where the zone is at this time around, just inside of Lone Wolf Slaver, maybe a little bit of brutal boxcars on the side.
Nice calm here right now for the team. Rise positioned up at the Surge base right now, but zone's already starting to pop here. Looks like another Eastern draw so far.
Just looking around, see how many teams are still getting left behind. They have the time and the luxury to do it, but on the other side, they might not. Broken, Liam 20. No extra shields for Broken. He does have a med kit, so you can see the possibility of how long this fight has actually been going on, but there is going to be one knock on the other side. 20 goes down, so still a 2v2 breaking out, but at least Broken was able to grab a lot of that extra loot. The siphon mats could be the difference maker as the cleanup finally goes through onto JoJo. 2v2 breaking out, but a full third trio, a third party is now moving in to interrupt this fight.
So I was gonna say, Aviv, Skittles, Chimp sitting comfortably on the outskirts, watching it all go down, chipping away at damage here. They have the prime positioning, and notice what they're trying to do. Let this middle team kind of wrap things up or break it out, initiate it, so they can clean up the extra elims that start to scatter away. And one thing's for certain, they're picking up a lot of damage with the Oxy on the run now. In comes Skips and crew. Skittles Chimp already putting more shots down. Broken forced the Jug here alongside Liam. Very little time left, but Skittles is on the wall. Viv's on the other side here. It's just a matter of time before they likely pick up these elims right now. And I mean, if you're Liam and team, you're thinking about, you know, what went wrong this game, right? They had a couple great moments where they were kind of breaking out of the early game, but things just not really trending in their direction right now.
Yeah, they thought it, since the zone had pulled so far away, maybe they had an isolated fight, but Skittles, Chimp, and Viv, kind of part of their strategy, staggering themselves this far back in the zone. They get a lot of the extra loot. They do a little bit what some of these other teams do, whether they're fighting off spawn or just trying to take shots on any teams rotating late, trying to get out of the zone. This time around, it does work out for them. And one of the big reasons why they feel so comfortable staying so deep into zone on this side of the map is because there's geysers, launch pads, then obviously if they have the kneecappers, there's a lot of different mobility tools they can use to close the distance quick.
From the highlight, how things end up working there. And I was just looking at the standings. That's going to put them up in 13th place right now. A couple eliminations away from 12th right now for Aviv, Skittles, and Chimp. We're keeping tabs on them, seeing if they can fight their way into a top 10 after this game's over. Cooper, Ree, and Curly continuing the action here at the Flooded Frogs. So far, so good for them as far as the overall damage. Zone's gonna land relatively close here.
In that last game for them, with a little bit of a different zone pull, not at Magic Mosses like yesterday, that was their worst game of the tournament so far. They were still able to get a 10th place with 3 eliminations, but we're kind of seeing them really be put to work here early on here in day 2. In the feed, I did see Sillet get it down onto Poyo. Agers does look like he's still alive, though. They have a chance to heal up. They have med mist smokes, water sprites, a bunch of different utility. And they have the luxury to go back in the zone over towards Mass Meadows to get the reboot back onto Poyo. So it should be not too much hard work for them to be alive as a trio once more. The biggest thing that I'm really watching out for is with Poyo going down, getting rebooted, how much surge did they actually lose off of that?
Yeah, it's the setback that really makes the difference. Take a look at it. It's against Xanda, Evan, and Sandalit. Oh, they get deleted from behind. And it's the small things, right? The small regrets that end up sending you right back.
I feel like it's happening more and more where you think you have an isolated fight that deep in the zone, and then out of nowhere, a third team comes out of nowhere. Visuals, Braids, and Diminished. They were able to quickly move north from Foxy Floodgates. They're trying to get the Brutal Boxcars Mountain. And if the trend continues and we have some of the same zones game after game hovering over each other, we're going to see a lot of proactivity come out of some of these teams, this being one of them. Then now, depending on where there's... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, this is where they positioned up last game, right? They seem to be comfortable coming here, taking the fights on this mountain, but this time around, they wanted to get here early so they didn't have to really box out, you know, a team while getting third-partied. So they get the full wipe, and then look at that. They're fully based up now.
Read my mind right there. And this is, I feel like, one of the first times we're seeing Clix, Yamzo, and Higgs actually fight for this black market. They're realizing how close the tournament is, and they're pulling out every single strategy, going back to what they know has worked in some of those past Divisional Cup tournaments. 341 damage above the threshold. The zone is moving over towards this direction. So they're maybe learning, adapting here as the games go on.
Don't call it too early now. We might Might jinx it. We get another Magic Moss's endgame. Little update from Agers, though. What's going on here? So Boyo picked up. Little damage, given that he's playing the zone right now. Agers is making super sure there's no one kind of lurking about right here. Not trusting a bush, not trusting the builds. This tower is obviously still in the zone right now.
Uh-oh. It's like a stroll in the park on one side, but on this one, Yamza just takes a big shot, maybe even kneecapper on top. Clicks as well, dropped down to 105 HP and shield, forced to backtrack. At least he reunites with Higgs, where he knows he has a little bit of extra help, so that way he can finally pop those heals. It's Yamza the one that has a little bit of worry. I say that lightly, though, because he already has elimination onto Tony. That's going to help with the siphon, the extra materials as to continue to push forward.
Actually caught the second elimination there as well, so look at this. Last game, they kicked it off with 4 elims in the early game. This time, they're finding some mid-game critical fights here. And then they get to secure the market and everything in between right now. This is actually perfect. And then you look in the outskirts, there are other options as well, right? You have to think about how those teams are likely thinking that they need to get into a surge fight as well. But if you're Higgs, Yamzo, and Clicks, they got a brief glimpse of how well set up they are right now.
It's just unfortunate. Creon's by himself, and they have some extra HP down below, so they can literally outstay their welcome over there. Rise, Yapko, Muzz, still slow to rotate. Pulls further and further towards Brutal Boxcars. Again, that mountain range that some have invested into early on might have been the fruitful play that works out. But with 845 damage above the threshold, they really don't have to worry about anything other than making it to zone. And it sounds easier than it actually is, because you saw what Trio is waiting at the other side.
Somehow, some way, miracles are true. They weren't spotted out. They could see Ritual and Cold moving their heels out of the base. And look at how quickly they end up boxing down. But hold up, Agers, Acorn, and Boyo not letting up the pressure here. They ended up tailing that team that just got the pickup right off the outskirts on the bridge. And it's G-Monster and Osid who fall now to the hands of Agers, Acorn, and Boyo. So big set of eliminations here. We talked about them being out of damage. They're only 181 above after picking up 2 eliminations, so it shows you they could have been 500 or 600 behind just moments ago.
Oh. You know where it's going, right, Monster? You know where we're headed, right? Maybe they could take the train, because we're going to Brutal Boxcars is what it looks like. That mountain range that some invested into might be worth it as Jojo Fishy trying to pass Peterbot. He gets taken down from one player to the next. Aoxy feels that same pain, and they felt it twice in the same game, because remember, they were trying to disengage as a solo. At least he got the reboot attempt on to some of his teammates, but these are the things you really just have to watch out for. And that's only their second elimination so far, and they're almost 600 above the damage threshold.
You guys see why Muzz and team were like, oh, wait a second. We're not going to get by this base. That's exactly what happens. They were looking to dive onto the next team they saw.
Oh my gosh, guys. Alright, I am
Sphinx Bolts
back.
and Kanata, though, 113 damage below the threshold.
I've been back,
This
so
is
like
obviously one of
I've
the
been just like watching.
worst positions you could be in here.
Wait.
And they have a decision to make. They're going to go
Get to the
5
other half
splash
of the
down
vehicle.
and then into the box here. So Aviv, Skittles, and Chimp are an option. And then you have Cooper's team down low. Ooh, Rhea and Cooper Curly have to be counting their lucky stars, because Bolt, Sphinx, and Kanata are on the way, and they're hungry for an elimination here. They need damage. Nothing just yet.
This is not good. Sphinx goes down.
Oh
Eliminated.
dang, they're
Active
below
storm surge means
threshold.
they're not going to get
This isn't
knocked.
good.
And they're just falling further and further below, from a little bit over 100 to now
Not for Kanata,
321 damage below the threshold. That's close to 2 full eliminations on the players. And it's something that you got to be careful for, because they don't have any extra heals, no shields, no HP. Luckily for them, they're able to look to the backside of the zone and trying to land some shots, but it bites them in the end. Aviv, Skittles, Chimp, they might have forgot about him, but they didn't forget about you. They turn on to Kanata, get that elimination, and force Bolts into a mad scramble.
Oh my gosh. Kanata's team just got fried.
And although he has to play defensive,
And Bolts
he
is
kind of can't,
the only
right?
one.
Like, you don't have the luxury, you don't have the time.
Yep.
There it
Bolts
is.
is
Things are active.
yep,
Sees a base,
team is
goes
dead.
into it. Amplify cleans him up.
Kanata's team
That's
is
gonna
gone.
be the end. Team Kanata there. Cooper, Rhea, and Curly take full advantage of the fight that they
Okay,
can
we
bring
got
off next door. Meanwhile,
Muzz
Muzz,
and
Rise,
his
and
team
Jabco
just
No
Trying to get to circle.
troubles in the world right now as they go for an early rotate to try to get to this zone. And I'm a little curious if this was the best way to go. There's a huge body of water. Team's already set up on this side. Just gonna have to watch it play out.
Just trying to heal up. I can sense them passing around that chug jug before this rotation just to top everybody off. Rise peeking through. And they got to be careful here because like you said, they have to go over that open body of water. Now they're one of the last teams to rotate on over. And if anybody is going to be below surge, they're definitely going to be looking back. And on the other side of that bridge, they're going to run into Clicks. They're going to run into Yamzo and Higgs. And they're just putting pressure on every team that has to rotate through that water.
Jacob, I was asking myself, what
Okay,
team
they're doing good with their
pull this
threshold.
zone right there? Like, who's set up already on the other side? Big body of water to protect them. It's Clicks, Yamzo and Higgs with the prime position.
They actually had
Talking
230
about
subscribers.
key real estate right here. This is a perfect
crazy.
position to be in. Not only that, they have the natural elevation and the high ground up above them as well.
Oh wow,
This is where you wanna be
2
right now.
points.
Not too,
Oh my gosh.
not too comfortable.
2-point difference
Clicks just
between
kinda
Peterbot and
staying on his
Clicks.
toes
That's
right now.
crazy.
Replay coming in for Coldridge when Peterbot those. They're finding eliminations right now. Mind, those are points, right? Starting to rack up there.
Trying to close that gap.
Now we got
6
like
points.
2
It's
more
not
hours
much
of
now,
this.
But you definitely cannot let Peterbot cold.
Oh my
and
gosh.
Rich will continue to get more and more eliminations as each game passes. It's almost
Oh,
been the
yeah.
trend. 69 above though for the Major 1 champions. They've had a few struggles in this game, but they're always figuring out a way to make it work. The zone cuts back just a little bit in their favor, and that gives them the option to look across 2-3 teams over there. That's going to be their target. I was literally just saying you cannot let them pick up these eliminations, and there goes Peterbot getting another knock onto Cynics.
Peterbot,
Game is just
Peterbot's team
starting
with
right now.
5
They're at
elims.
5 elims, so talk about really
Dang.
heating up when it matters. Zone's gonna pull far east though, giving up all that water. Straight into the landmass we go. Let's see, most of the teams already have migrated here. 2 trios trailing behind for Peterbot, Ritual, and Cold. Trying to decide.
Oh my gosh,
what's gonna be the first
1,000?
move for them right now. Big lobby pressure
Oh
coming
my
out. The Chip,
gosh.
Skittles, and Aviv. Down low.
1,000 above is crazy.
I think they figure a lot of these teams are going to have to
They
rotate
probably have
in
like
their
most
direction, and
elims
that's going to be
on.
the best chance that they got to try to catch some players off guard. Some damage able to sneak through, but not much. But this is the zone. Kelly really broke this down to start the day. They pulled it on the front side and immediately built up. Booga, Threats, and Rapid. And they were the ones who
Booga
closed
just
out
playing
game
the
number
same
6 with a victory.
strat.
Royale. And so it's going to be interesting to see if they can actually close this one off. They're looking across and seeing who is actually going to try to make the play to contest them. Where this next zone pulls Monster is going to be so pivotal on Threats, Rapid, and Booga's next moves.
You can tell by
Acorn's
Booga's body
dead.
language there. He is eyeing up Reed's base. They are a little too close for comfort to second height. Wouldn't put it past him to dive in,
Dang.
but look at this. They just
Oh
can't
my
get
God.
a break. Agers,
Wow.
Oh, Acorn
That's
and
crazy.
Boyo get eliminated in 14th before the real
Okay,
Princeton point starts
Clicks'
to
team with
kick
4
in and
elims.
kind of add up, but
Not far
it
off
was
from
a struggle
Peterbot's
of a game
elims.
just to even get this far. Clicks, Yamzo, Higgs, though, they have not stopped playing the perfect frontside low ground all weekend long, and they just continue to do so. Another top 10 is just moments away.
You see the huge difference, though, in their inventory this time around. The Mythic Collateral AR, the extra splashes, they did make their way on over to that black market to try to take use of their Lone Wolf POI. Peterbot looking to chop down high ground, but they got to be connected somewhere else. And that's a thing that they're going to look for it, but instead they run into Craze on the other side, but they're not backing down from any challenge, especially now since they know they're going to have to rotate. And you see them looking through the wall, eyeing that team before they rotate on out. Just trying to be very, very precise about their rotation, and they even change LAers during this next pull. And now they're looking up.
Wait.
Peterbot knows if they want high ground, now would be the time to try to take it.
Yeah, they wanted to chop it down, but it's connected
Clicks
to the
is right
steam
there.
stack there. He didn't see or notice the
Oh my
fact that
gosh,
it
I
is just
literally
gonna be
can't
there
even
and
tell
set
where
up, but
Peterbot's
Yamzo
team is.
Higgs of the Gold Rush splash effect here, continuing to rotate. It seems like they pull a little bit of a favorable zone on the low ground as well, so that's going to be perfect for them. Meanwhile, Booga, Threats, and Rapid managed to re-secure the base here, so all that material count
man.
doesn't go to waste, but
I'm
Peterbot doesn't
nervous.
care. He's had enough of high ground shooting down. He's starting to eye up Booga, and we know what he does. He used that kneecapper so well to retake high ground. And then the full commit, jumps to the front side of zone. Threats is there to back him up. Booga, Rapid come on in. It's an all-out fight inside the box. Threats gets put down, though. Peterbot is showing up once again. This time, he wants to win, though.
Yeah, he took the high ground by force, and you saw when they all jumped over, Booga, Threats, Rapid. It's like they jumped in different directions. Threats was just left by himself in the Lion's Den, getting eaten every chance that he gets, and now the game has just changed. A huge threat is going to be on the high ground. Cold, Peterbot, and Ritual. They didn't get the win that they wanted in game number 1. They got the gap closed by Clixie, Amzo, and Higgs, and now it's their time to reopen that spread.
What's most important is that they stay alive right now. Everyone has to stay up. Ritual, though, takes a huge amount of damage right now. Someone ends up contesting them for high ground, and Ritual falls first. It's Cooper, and it's Reed who's here now, showing up as well. But
Ritual's got 5. He got
show up too for a little bit of
fried already.
Wants a piece of this, but Peterbot's had enough. Once again, he's here to fight back.
Taki thought it was safe. He thought it was easy, but sidelined by Pete. Cold goes down.
He's like, he's killing everyone. What the heck?
He knows he can't clean it up just yet. Vert's still down below.
Oh, nah.
Backside of zone. Peterbot still has the siphon available when that
This is
elimination
not looking
finally
good
gets
for
cleaned up.
Clix,
So he
this
has
team,
all the
bro.
time in the world here to look back at the Vert
But they
and
still
figure
have time
out what
to come
he's
back.
going to do, and he has no chance to contest this high ground. Still a good amount of builds
but
left for Peter as well.
the thing
as a
about
solo.
Clix's team that they might be able to get the win.
Trio on the low ground. Look at how many eliminations they have managed to secure here. They are running away with things down, but Peterbot is still in this game, still looking to earn points, still looking to keep that gap from
I think
opening
Peterbot
up
kind of
any
knows.
further. He's already at a total of 11 elans with the trio here. He finds Donnie as well. Still
it.
and then finds Bert, making
Wait,
sure
wait.
that he's securing the points here.
No
He
way.
says you may be
No
winning
way.
the war on the
No.
low ground, but
No.
I'm here to take it all home.
No.
Hold up.
No, please.
Peterbot finds Higgs, and now the Cypher's starting to cook in. Another shot onto Clix, and
Clix,
he
you got
is
this.
still going right now. One thing's for certain, he's gonna keep the pressure up
No.
and make
No
it
way.
nice and close, but in the end, Clixiam's own Higgs secure the dub.
Oh
And it
my
just
gosh.
leaves me asking one question. Were those eliminations that game from Ritual, Cold, and Peterbot enough to make that 11-point difference from the victory royale mean absolutely nothing? This is what we wanted. The
my heart is
entertainment
racing
disc
right
is
now.
Cinema Monster.
It's crazy because it doesn't matter if you win the game. If
Peterbot just died, bro.
Trio earn all of those extra points. He's just taking away the padding that you could have otherwise secured, but you have to give so much credit to
Oh, I'm
Clixiam's
amazed
own
right
Higgs.
now. I'm
Just
happy.
perfect. They are
Happy as
playing
heck.
Absolutely perfect front side low ground end games right now.
Oh, I'm
and
so
they're
happy.
cleaning up house. Iamzo with the final shot there to win the victory royale. Clix, Higgs, and Iamzo
so
do it
happy.
once again for game number 8, Zeke.
Jacob PR, hold me. This is cinema. I cannot believe. Okay, Kelly, was there a moment where you believed Peterbot was gonna 1v3? Was there a moment where you thought,
Yes.
oh no, are we about to get 1v3? It's okay, Clicks! Look, it's me and you! It's me and you. They got themselves a victory royale. That's what I like to see, but man, that was a very scary game. Peterbot went wild, but obviously I love to see from Clicks.
He literally went for Higgs, killed Higgs.
As they do on the low ground, right? And while everything else is happening, you're like, hey, just stick to the plan. I know it sounds like a bunch of stuff's happening, and we can go for those eliminations. Let's just go for the win instead.
I mean, and they did it to a T, like what we've seen them do time and time again. Around Zone 9, they're kind of playing in the back a little bit. They had so many more splashes than what we've seen them, and they utilized that. We can understand why that's such an important part of their strategy. And getting those splashes, you get a little bit of a speed boost.
Oh
you're
my.
able to control the front ground. And then while
608
all the chaos is
points.
happening on the high ground, David, and that was definitely the most chaotic high ground we have had this finals for North America, well, low ground just kind of gets free elims.
It's so awesome. We're just so entertained, right? We're all just staring at a high ground, right? We got Peterbot Trail up there taking the high ground, defending the high ground. We're like, holy moly, who's gonna win this game? And then we look down. Monster makes the call. There's only one full trio alive. It's Clix's trio. They're putting on a clinic on the low ground for the observers. It was like pick your poison, right? No matter who you picked right there, we were gonna be entertained. Not very often, right, where we watch one of the most entertaining parts of the game happening up on the high ground, and there's so much going on the low ground. But what an incredible game
going for a low
Clix,
ground the entire time
Iamzo,
is really
and
smart.
Higgs just taking full advantage of it. And this is what I was mentioning, right? They are not.
That might have
faltering
weakened
at
Peterbot,
all.
though.
Does not matter what's going on, right? If your trio's going down on the higher ground, they're going to be popping off on the lower ground every single game. They have figured not only this meta out, but this finals out, and it shows every single time ever since they started yesterday in game number 3. Outside of, you know, game number 6 yesterday, where of course a little bit of a falter, they have not placed outside of top 2, 3 of those being wins. They're playing so good.
This is insane. And just to think, I'm gonna go ahead and spoil it right now, okay? Because of that game, there is a 3-point difference between Ritual Cold and Peterbot and Clicks
Why did I
Higgs
just
and
open my
Yamzo.
files up? Alright.
But who's in first place? We'll find out after this break. Don't you go anywhere.
Yo, what's up, Joey? May 10th, yep. You're new to the stream? Nice. Welcome. I'd like to give you a warm welcome here. Everyone in my stream is very nice. My mods are nice. I'm nice. You will feel very welcome here. So, that last game was so stressful, bro. As soon as Peterbot just killed Higgs, I thought he was literally gonna just 1v3. I'm just in shock right now. That was crazy. We actually went down a sub. Okay. Thought we were at 230, but you know, it's okay. We've been losing subs, gaining subs all day, so. This is the last day of the season, so.
Welcome back to the FNCS. I cannot believe it, but Clicks, Yamzo, and Higgs got themselves yet another victory royale. However, for a moment, it looked like Peterbot was going to 1v3 them. Guys, I'm going to say it. I'm so sorry. The mental game, Peterbot's in my head, okay? Mentally, I thought, oh no, Peterbot might just 1v3 Clicks, Yamzo, and Higgs here because they were just on a tear. And like, you know, Kelly, once Peterbot gets going, it's so unbelievably difficult to stop him.
It's really funny. Anytime Peterbot does poorly in a game, you can almost expect the following game to be just absolute non-stop W king from him. And I love that. It's something that we've seen from Peterbot now for the last year, where he needs to prove himself if he doesn't have the perfect game. And this was very close to being the perfect game. An incredible height take from Peterbot Cold and Ritual.
What a great
where
game.
It almost didn't really pan out, but they went back forward again, able to control high ground, even when Vert went for this bar for bar 1v1 1v1 against Peterbot, which is quite the
Peterbot
feat to
hasn't
do.
won a single round
Yeah,
for
I mean, it was
this
just an incredible game, and,
for
you
this
know,
day,
me,
so
Zeke, Kelly, we're
I have
sitting
good
here,
hopes.
We're getting ready to kind of come back to the show. You know, we hear in our ears, yeah, hey, we, you know, Peterbot stuff's ready, highlights ready. It's like over a minute long. We're like, wait, what? And we're like, yeah, we also kept it short. And we're like, wait, what? It's incredible. So it's just not enough time to truly understand how good Peterbot really is. And I give a big shout out to Jacob Wazzo, right? Because we're like watching this, and as soon as
Man,
the comes in on Higgs,
even the
Jacob goes,
hosts are
"Oh, no."
Peterbot
It's
glazers,
like
bro.
fully prepared for the
Look,
1v3
wait.
to happen. But that being
Oh.
said, that Peterbot solo clutch right there
Peterbot's still winning.
somehow
Okay.
holds on to first place by just 3 points.
Still
Just
3 points,
the-
but I think
the most
Clicks can get up there.
ridiculous run, right? I mean, again, this was Peterbot as a solo. That's almost more dangerous when he's by himself. Like, I can't even believe those words are coming out of my mouth,
Oh, I do.
and yet it happened. Kelly, I mean, he's just crazy.
I mean, you look to the global championships and you have game 11 there where Peterbot eliminated like 8 players in 2 minutes. And I think actually in Major 1 he did the same thing potentially in game 11 as well. Peterbot is known as this insane player going for these solo clutches in the end game. And Zeke, you keep saying, oh, I thought he was going to go for the 1v3. Peterbot essentially went for the 1v5 and eliminated 3 players. He got Donnie, he got Vert, and then he got Higgs. It is, no one else can do it like Peterbot. So even if he's not winning, who cares, because he's able to get so many elims.
Yeah, I mean, it's just incredible stuff. I mean, we could talk about our top 2 trios for the rest of the day. We could just stop the competition right now and
Right.
probably talk about them forever. We do have some other trios who are, of course, playing very, very well.
I'm
We
still
got
in
Raids,
shock, bro.
Visuals, and a Menace. They are still holding on to 3rd place right now. Pick up, you know, another good game, still continuing that trend. Zeke only having 1 game outside of the top 10. This game, they're going to pick up 7th place with 5 eliminations, so staying consistent in terms of that. But I mean, you know, our top 2 contenders, Kelly, they're running away with it, but it's very, very close. It's like 3rd through 6th right now.
Of course, and that's what we're looking for, right? Braids Visuals and Minished making their way to the global championships over some of our bigger teams, the Big 7. I mean, if you look at our leaderboard right now, it is what players consider the Big 7. But if you replace Visuals, Braids, and Diminished with Kanata, Bolts, and Sphinx, however, they're not stopping yet either. They are still in our top 10. And Zeke, we have 4 more games to go. It already feels like
4
the
more
end of the
games,
tournament
bro.
because so much has happened, but we're barely halfway through.
Even just look, Kelly, like, look at those numbers. How many of those are zeros, as in those players haven't moved? And how many of them are going 1 point up or down? This competition is so close. Like, yeah, of course, obviously we're trying to tell this nice little story, and then Clicks and Peterbot over here just like blowing stuff up. We're like, okay, I guess we have to look at that too. Like, the competition is close with 4 more games left to go. Let's jump back on that battle bus. MDF, Jacob PR, take it away.
Yeah, look, no doubt. I mean, we're going through a roller coaster of emotions. I feel like I've exhausted the pipes here. I mean, we still have 4 games in front of us, and it's looking like every game is a fight for the championship right now, Jacob.
Yeah, and it's looking like it could be some of the most important games of Fortnite you will play this year. 3 spots for the Global Championship, and it gets exponentially harder with only 2 spots in Major 3. So, honestly, it's now or never for some of these teams at the top of the leaderboard.
Well, one thing's exciting right now, it's that 3-point gap up the top. You know, Peterbot making sure that Clicks has to stay on his toes. You don't know now when they just want to pull the trigger, or will Clicks pull something out of the sleeve. Well, we're here to find out.
Hey, another
Let's
game
jump on this battle
starting.
bus one more time.
Monster, when this game ends, the tournament will be 75% of the way over. And that's really where it's going to start to get interesting. 3 games left, not enough time to make up a point deficit. So I'm thinking there might be a potential. We saw Peterbot land on Clicks. What about the other way around if the point lead over everybody else serves it?
That's exactly what I was starting to allude to with how Clicks, Higgs, and Iamzo, or, you know, had the whole night to sleep on what all unfolded yesterday. You have to assume that they now, too, took that exact strategy into account, right? There might be a point in time where they say, you know what, before they can do us dirty, we probably should do them instead. So we'll just have to
Getting
figure it
chased
out.
is
And then I'm also
crazy.
thinking about Is 600 points enough to make it to global championship? Those are a lot of points. But then I start looking down at the standings. You know, it's only a game and a half difference. So this game 9, game 10 are absolutely critical to Clix making it to the global championship spot. Well, in the end, it is absolutely incredible Fortnite at play here. High action, high caliber Fortnite underway, and it just doesn't get any better.
No, it does not. And you're seeing why every team, including Craze, Donnie, Joji, Yusuf, Yuji, and Phenom on the Shining Span Bridge. Yesterday, most of the game, we saw them kind of going all out 50-50. Drop on one of them floor loots and quickly go to work. This time around, both games, they're choosing to try to disengage, play it out. They might not get all the loot that they want off of their spawn, but at least they got a shot.
Man, it's almost been
to
2
try to get
hours
more
I've been
points,
watching
move
this.
up the leaderboard, try to get in that top 25 where you can actually make some money.
I respect it. You know, like last game they did something similar, but you know, at the end of the day, they were in about 16th place. So when they survived the drop and they kind of play things out, they were just working their way up, chipping their way up. They jumped up to 14th now, so they're kind of in the running for getting closer and closer to the top 10, which I kind of have to appreciate. What do you think about Peterbot, Ritual, and Cold here, though, playing for the medallion, it seems like, here at the train?
Yeah, business as usual for them. But you see the 2 arrows off on the side, 2 different bases already built. That's the trio, Visual, Braze, and Aminish. This is how they get a lot of their early game surge. And obviously, after Peterbot secures the loot that he wants, he quickly turns around, tries to accumulate a little bit of surge on his own. But because of how long it actually takes to get the boss down, to get the medallion, usually there's a lot of shots like that coming from the other side.
I was gonna say, it seems like they were getting a little too close for comfort there. I thought for a moment we're gonna see Visuals, Aminish, and Braze just dive in on the 2, but seems like they know better than to take that risk. What is happening here from coned up to fighting back? Jaxie finds himself fighting out of a absolutely unwinnable situation for most, but all of a sudden he's looking at 1v3 right now. Siphon kicks in here, and he's right back in it, and then the double edit. That was too smooth, but Noah plays, Chaos Gaming and Kazs are here to rain on his parade. Jaxie, unfortunately, won't be able to celebrate much longer. Look, he's at 6 elims, 2 team wipes, and then sent back to the lobby. My gosh.
That last elimination was pretty tough, though. He slid. He was safe. So it was great for him to kind of pick that up. You said 6 eliminate. At least they got 24 points for this game. Could be the difference maker depending on where you're at on the leaderboard. And that's where Kaz was able to quickly break it. There was really no time for him to react. The full trio was already there. Jumping on top, closing off every possible escape scenario. Jump aboard Clix Yamzo Higgs. Hey, much closer this time around than we have seen in some of previous games past. Clix is going to be the one leading the charge of trying to get that Storm Surge first. Yamzo Higgs still looting up underneath the vault and all the surrounding land to try to get a lot of those extra heals up here in this base so that we can have a smooth game. Ooh.
They want to be absolutely sure to find Peterbot, Ritual, and Cold if they decide to try to sneak up on him. And this is why they're all kind of positioned up, like you mentioned, really closely to one another, but all with different angles, right? Looking for teams lurking, kind of sliding up on them. You have to also take into account, like, those shots they just put onto Peterbot, you know they know, right? Like, they're still at the Lone Wolf layer. So what are they thinking right now?
Probably just being very, very precise. And you kind of mix in a little bit of that last game, so they're just trying to get and see where a lot of these players are rotating to, mainly on over towards the black market. As Yamzo taking that other angle, looking towards the south, spawning out one of those towers in the distance and immediately trying to go to work. And you're seeing in the minimap as well, marking a team up there in that last game as one of the first times we were able to see them access that black market underneath Magic Mosses, and it helped so much. You saw the collateral AR. They were able to get at least 4 different sets of splashes on top of it, something that weren't able to do at all in day 1 because of a lot of those north zones.
For Ishutaki, though, a bit box fight right here. Taki's already taken out. A lot of credit to this team that tried to play for high ground, try to put the dub up on the mark. Came up a little short, but respect it nonetheless. And unfortunately, Ishu just forced to completely give us this entire situation up right now.
Yeah, it does look like Seek and Veer are still underneath. Might be a 3v2 situation.
I'm just waiting for the game to get
blessing that they
closer
came in to
before I
crash this party, 'cause now
start
that
calling
Solo's
stuff
gonna be able
out.
to get out and get a chance for the reboot, but Veer being pushed back. A lot of these are his builds. That's why you see Creon playing careful, and you see that they're the ones that made that quick jump on over to Black Market this time around. Mythic Collateral ARs just shredding through these builds. Big damage onto Veer. Another elimination cleaned up with ease, leaving Seek by himself in a 1v3 situation. And immediately they spot him out, get him to move. Those audio visuals being the difference maker as they get wiped out of this game.
That collateral AR so good when it comes down to keying in and
All
keeping
right.
the pressure going like that. Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual though.
Yo,
Right back into
it's
the fighting
crazy,
action
bro.
here. And what's so
Peter is
interesting is
really
that they're
doing
fighting
well,
the team
though,
that Clix's trio
That,
was
if he
just
didn't kill
eyeing up
Big
for
there, it
surge
would be a
tags
1
here.
point difference.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder if
I honestly
are
thought-
hunting right now kind of on the warpath of Peterbot's team.
Yeah, me neither.
Just trying to see if they can find them out, bait them in, wait for them at the edge of
Like
storm.
when
right?
when I saw him kill
This is
Higgs,
very
bro, I was like, oh
intentional right
shoot,
now.
he's about to pop off.
Yeah, I know. I
Yeah,
actually
especially
thought he
since
was
I
a
mentioned
1v3. I was like,
them being able to
everyone-
access the
I'm not even like
side
I'm
of
not
the
even
Clicks
rooting
and
for
Trio
him.
zone
On
is
my
pulling towards
on
the
my
south,
stream
so
it
this
said
will
that
be one of those
I
scenarios
said I'm
with
rooting
the
for
storm
Clicks,
surge they got
Higgs,
early
and
on in the game.
yeah,
They
I'm
can
just-
backtrack, but
yeah.
you just got Peterbot in your path. A 3-point lead.
I mean, I'm not really rooting for anyone.
And he's
I'm just,
not
like, kinda
straying
letting it
away
go
from these
and
risky
see how-
plays and these
seeing how it
big
plays out.
moves
It's
of
more fun to
rotating
watch
towards the
at
north
this
and trying to
point.
cut off that whole
Yeah,
team.
I mean,
But there is going to be one
like,
player, that last solo
At
still
the
in the
same time,
minimap.
I
Down
would
below,
root
you see him
for
just
Clicks,
above
but
Lone Wolf
one,
Layer.
It'd be funny if he
Just
loses
south
and
of where
doesn't
Peter
get
Bot's
he,
initially at.
like, went from first
And it
place
does
to,
look like
fourth.
because of that
But
third
two,
party, he is
it would
going to be
also
able to
be
stay
cool if
alive.
he won. So it's like,
because it'll be his first.
and like Peterbot,
Yeah, this is some
Peterbot, I kind
significant,
of want Pollo to
you know,
win only
tactics
because,
at play right
you know,
now. Like
it wins
you're
for me.
watching them almost literally trying to position themselves to get into a fight with Peterbot come the mid game. We'll be keeping eyes on it. How Clicks and Peterbot, the gap continues, but for Phenom, Eulogy, and Yusuf, fight breaking out kind of inside the storm right now against Shadow, Tyler, and Curve. You know, up until now, we've seen also Kanata's team here, but not quite just yet. And as we just mentioned, we knew they were trying to get in on to Clicks.
Oh wait, Clicks is on Peterbot right now.
All the way up,
Okay.
of course. After taking the rotate through the porta body, now full fight's breaking out. Peterbot hurt though. Yamzo is here to fight. No time to choke now though. This is for the championship essentially right here.
Yeah, this would give either one of these teams
Oh my
a
gosh.
chance to finish at least in the top
Lark would
3.
also risk it, I think.
A big lead going into the
Yeah.
last 3 games of the day.
Imagine if
Peterbot
Clicks
Cold,
1v3s.
Ritual choosing to disengage zone.
That'd be
all
so
the way
funny.
Towards the south, they say, hey, we're just gonna go ahead, go back on over
I got
towards our
one.
black market, our crime city for now. We'll meet you
Just
later
Cold is
inside
also
of the
a
zone
really
because
good
now
player,
both of
because
these
I would
teams
want
know
Peterbot to
which
win.
outfit their
I don't know
opponents
who
are
I would
wearing, but
choose.
Clicks
Wait.
getting some good damage on somebody trying to move through that porta potty, forcing the
Oh
remaining
wait,
2 players
I thought
to just
Clicks
wait
was
and
making
expend a lot of their
Peterbot run,
materials.
bro.
I was gonna say it's so important that they pressure right now.
He might have
really
been,
make sure
actually.
they set back Peterbot's trio as much as possible. You gotta give them a lot of credit defending off Peterbot's team. Coming in fully healthy, mind you, with all the resources, right? Peterbot's trying to pull the same type of tactic they did yesterday. Just put Clicks off of the ball game, right? Push them off their surge strats, reset them, make them kind of fall into mid game when surge gets active. But this time they were prepared, and it seems like, I don't know, man. Maybe they pulled the trick out a little too soon.
Yo, I saw
I almost feel like in your
Pe-
OG,
well, I
you know,
saw
much longer than
Prem's
I have.
video
This is
where he
one
was
of
playing the
first
tournament
times we're seeing a
with
team really just
Amplify.
take control as much as Peterbot is going for
Yeah.
these early game fights. I mean, rightfully so. Peterbot does want to win. They have such a huge lead over 3rd, 4th, 5th, everybody else down below that leaderboard. So maybe he already has his global championship spot, almost guaranteed top 2. It's worth the risk for them, especially since this one is personal almost between Peterbot and Clicks. And this is bragging rights. This is more than just that.
Yeah, Jacob, look, you know, I've casted 25 FNCS finals. There has never been a team to do what you're watching right now in an active online tournament, like in this way, right? Really trying to make sure that they position themselves to be the front runners, and then finding someone so close to them, deviating the strategy to say, you know what, we have to adjust. Like, this is what we've always wanted to see from high-level Fortnite, and it's great to see Peterbot and his trio kind of take the lead there, right? So all credits to Ritual and Cold, because there aren't many teams that would do this. And of course, the GOATs, Vino and Queezer, were the ones that kind of kicked this off, right? Showing that this is possible. You can make these type of
guess
iconic
what?
plays. You can
Chicken butt.
almost cement yourself in Fortnite history as legends if you do this type of stuff. And I think they're leading by example right now. So this is the first time we've seen it here on NA,
Yeah.
and I think online in
NA.
general in this type of way.
Did they get out of that fight? Or are they
It's just
still fighting?
all
They
these
got
years
out.
later, records still being broken, history still being
Let's
made,
guess,
and
Peterbot,
entertainment at its
No,
finest.
Peterbot ran
Two
away.
filters out of all of this that is going down around the lobby
No,
as
but-
Higgs in the feed does get elimination onto the tick. You see rapid threats in Booga. A little bit
Blame them.
of a
I feel like
slower
it's better
pace
to
for them
Wait
this
till
time
ending, 'cause it's a risky
around.
fight. If they were to lose, Clicks is
Just outside of the qualification spots,
Yeah.
the points are so close. All it takes is one good game to change the course of your own history. This time around, everybody having to rotate in from the
Because
north.
all it takes
Foxy
is Clicks to
Floodgate
get
is going to be
top
the
10, and
most north POI as of now. As we check out,
Bro, I've
how
already
Higgs
been
was
streaming
actually
for,
able to
like,
pick up that elimination, just sneaking
almost
up on
2
a couple
hours.
Players. And as I said, zone moving towards the south, which gives a lot of freedom to Clicks, Higgs, and Yamato to move back on over to that black market and seeing if there's anything left from Creon, Tony, and Noisy.
I was gonna say, you know, you got to think about how, you know, because Ritual and Cold were there, they kind of cut off the black market for a little bit.
Yep.
Likely looking at Clix' performance and saying, hey,
Clicks,
you know,
Higgs,
what's
and
changed from
Yamzo
the
have
days
used
before, right?
188
The fact that they
mini
had access to this black market, we
minis,
talked about how
25
significant
more
that is.
than
But
any
look,
other
there's other
team.
teams
What?
kind of here still waiting about,
That's
so
crazy.
they're not out of the woods just yet.
That's an interesting fact.
Yeah.
Oh man, they're getting confident up
Like, not
above.
some people would really.
They're knocking on some doors, trying to take some cones, eliminate some options just in case.
What
this
are
fight does
those
progress longer
kids
than they
doing out
expect.
there, bro?
Great shots coming out of Yamzo yet again, opening up the fight, slowing down at least one of those players, but Vert landing some good damage onto Clicks.
And then again, it makes
Both
sense. They're
teams
always
trying to
in these
tunnel around,
fights.
build some extra space, that way they can try to make that move,
Yeah.
but it's the low ground right now that is on a little bit of a disadvantage, so they need to figure out a way to make a play as Clicks just gets hounded yet again, dropped down to about 75 HP, looking for a way to survive.
Forced to pop a second med miss here now, so this is really starting to come down to the wire as far as the zone pressure is concerned. It's going to come down to Higgs
how
and
the cars
Yamzo.
are
We've seen a
split away
lot
from
of
me.
clutch plays from them throughout the weekend. Really have never seen a better...
Bro, I was playing Fortnite earlier, bro, and I saw a car fall out of the sky. Like, I'm pretty sure somebody rift launched it.
The tag couldn't follow up in time, and this low ground, I was gonna say, really difficult to play off of. It seems like the zone gets the knock for
I saw
Yamato.
somebody join my chat, and his name is
Go side for them.
Logan.
And here they come with the kneecappers are out. Taki's there, but
What?
no, the pre-fire shotgun.
You know what you should
Optic
really
Clicks
do?
takes him down, hits
What?
You should get a car like really low, then rift launch it. Like if people were in it, you would get their car really low, rift launch it, and then shoot it out the sky, and they'd all die to
Oh my gosh.
fall.
That would be OP.
Crazy. Yeah. Depending on how quick it explodes.
Yeah.
Every time I think of Lone Wolf Lair, I keep thinking of Foxy Floodgates.
Bro. Yeah. Yo, they should honestly have flare guns in FNCS.
Well, when they add flare guns, they'll add them to FNCS, but they
Yeah.
don't have them in the game yet, so.
That is true. I wonder what FNCS is gonna be like next season, though.
Hopefully cool.
Yeah.
I haven't really gotten into like the watching FNCS until chapter 5 season 4. Like I never
Wait,
really like watched.
Is this like the last FNCS match of the season? Or
Not the last match, like last like
yeah,
FNCS of the
that-
season. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I
This
meant.
is final, so whoever wins.
Oh
whoever's
my
top
gosh.
leaderboard here wins. Yeah.
The point difference is
There's still
unreal.
more, three or four more games.
How many games? Oh yeah, there's like, it's like I think it's like 3.5 or something. 4.5 or something like that. Oh my gosh, I'm dropping frames right now. My stream is dropping frames.